Ladies and gentlemen, at the outset, if I could thank Jewel for the invitation to come along tonight. I do appreciate it, and I know this is one of the only forums where I've had the opportunity to speak with a cross-section of the candidates for the Senate. Now, I'd also like to give a special recognition to a good friend of mine, Joe Lindgren, who served this state with distinction in the Senate, and whose uncle, Neville Bonner, was a hero of mine. And I want to start this presentation with the story about Neville. So I was 18 years old in the Young Liberals, and Neville Bonner came to speak to us. And I still remember this. He described how he was handing out how to vote cards for a Liberal Party friend in Ipswich. And a member of the Labor Party came up to him and said, "Neville, why are you handing out for the Labor Party? Didn't you realise you people should be supporting us?" And Neville didn't take kindly to that. So he took home the Liberal Party We Believe statement, and he sat at his kitchen table and he read each value and he asked himself, do I believe in this? And as he read each value and ticked it, he got to the end, he ticked every value, he believed in each of them. So he joined the Liberal Party. And I've always remembered that lesson over the last 30 years. I've always remembered that. So I want to tell you what my values are. And you can find my values by going onto the LNP's website and looking at our constitution. And in that constitution is a value statement. And 3 of those values are my own words. I moved the amendments at convention. The first is an explicit recognition of freedom of religion as one of the great freedoms of Western civilization. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association. I will always fight for those freedoms of the individual. What a disgrace, ladies and gentlemen, this week when we saw our Prime Minister ridiculed for worshipping in his church on Sunday. What a disgrace. I will always fight for freedom of religion. The second value, government which has a sustainable level of debt which does not impose an unfair burden on future generations. I am proud to stand for a party that has returned this budget to surplus. I am proud to stand for a party that is repaying the Labor Party's debt. There are too many people in politics who believe that debt does not matter. Debt does matter. And we need to be prudent and frugal with our finances so we do not impose an unfair burden on future generations. The third value, a society which provides opportunity, not a government guarantee, but opportunity for all and support for those in need. I worked for a mining company called Panost for the last 12 years. We built 2 mines in one of the poorest countries in the world, Laos. We lifted thousands of people up out of poverty. Thousands of people. Subsistence farmers. We lifted them out of poverty. That's what free enterprise can do, ladies and gentlemen. And you know what terrified me? We would sit around that boardroom table and we would see opportunities come up in Australia and we'd all look at each other and would say, gee, that's going to be hard. It's in Australia. It was easier for us to build a project in communist Laos than it is for a company to get a project off the ground in Australia. I want to make it easier, not harder, easier for people who want to create wealth and provide opportunities to young people in this country. Easier, not harder. And I'll fight for that in the Senate each and every day. For me, this election comes down to people. It's all about people. I attended a rally Scott Morrison spoke at about a month and a half ago. And as I was leaving, I overheard a young lady say to Trevor Evans, the member for Brisbane, she said, I couldn't help but cry twice during Scott Morrison's speech. And I was intrigued. I wanted to know why. What caused you to go to tears? What could have caused that? And I introduced myself. Her name's Caitlin. And if you want to hear Caitlin's story or read about it, it's on my Facebook page. And Caitlin told me that in November last year, beautiful 24-year-old young lady, she got blind in one eye and started to get numb in her right leg. She went and saw her doctor. She was referred to a specialist. She was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis at age 24. And the doctor told her that on and from 1 January, a drug to treat her particular type of multiple sclerosis was being added to the PBS. One of the 2,000 drugs that have been added to the PBS since the coalition government came to power. That drug would have cost her $120,000 a year, i.e. she would not have been able to afford it. She wouldn't have been able to take it. And I told Caitlin's story on my Facebook page. Yeah, give it applause. It's given her hope. It's given her hope. And our government should give people hope, not despair. Hope. Oh, sorry. I'll talk to you later.